Artistic Gamer 7, and welcome back to another speed build here on the channel. If you cannot tell by the title, this is part 2 of the old Windenburg Bakery. Just as a little recap, the old Windenburg Bakery is a building that I decided to create that is basically meant to make it seem like the old Windenburg before, it started coming a little bit more modernized. Obviously, out of all the towns, Windenburg seems to be the least modernized out of them all, which is part of the reason why I chose to do this build there. But at one point, this used to be an old bakery for the town of Windenburg, and has now been modified into a residential lot, is what I am doing. So, now that we're on a little recap, and just in case, it's been a while since you've seen part 1, I should have them out close together, but if, you're catching up on videos or whatever, or you missed this one and you came back to it, that's your little recap. Anyway, we are now currently doing the study room that I mentioned, which is odd that now that I'm thinking about it, because the staircase from the downstairs room, because I did the whole downstairs section, decorating it and furnishing it first. And then I went to the next floor, but the living room is technically the room that the stairs from downstairs goes into first. So why I didn't start decorating the living room first, I don't really know. But this is the study, and I think I was thinking about the fact that whoever lived here seemed pretty involved in trying to keep some of the historical value to the place, was that at least one of the people living here was maybe a historian, archaeologist, something along those lines where they actually care about trying to keep some of the old roots and trying to reuse some of the old stuff that came from the old bakery as much as possible. So I did make a huge desk area over there in the corner with using 3 different table type things together. I also decided that one of the people was also into art, which also could explain why some of the stuff was actually kept, because a lot of artists tend to like some of the old architecture and the old paintings and keeping them preserved and stuff like that. I personally am into art, and I actually really do like a lot of the old style stuff and seeing how it was done and looked back then and stuff. So I know I personally would really like it. So I sort of went with those two sort of type of people to make it seem like, this is why they tried to keep as much of the old bakery preserved, even though it is now their house. And how, maybe every once in a while to some people, or at least friends and family or people they trust and stuff, they would actually let them come in and sort of see some of the old stuff that they kept. Now there's a wall that is going to be in the living room that I actually put a bunch of wall decorations on, and a lot of them I try to make sure to have it relate back to what would seem that you might have or might came from the old bakery. So maybe, it's a wall of preserving the old stuff. And eventually once we go into the living room, you see that. Right now I'm just doing this on these doors. I don't know why I decided to do this. I just randomly wanted some sort of more art, some sort of design going onto it. So I decided on this hallway here, both of these doors, was going to have it on the outer side. I don't know why I decided to do this. I just did. I thought it partially did look really cool and different. So just, basically as a design element, maybe those were some old pieces of wood from the bakery as well. And now we're finally in the living room, which, would have made sense for me to do in the first place. And I know I did heavily use a lot of stuff from Seasons, just because I feel like a lot of this stuff fit well for this theme. It looked like it could have been an older style wood or something like that, but it's made new or something. Especially those railings. I love those railings in general, but when you have it in the wood style, it sort of looks like it could go with more of an older look, but at the same time still be nice in a newer setting. So that's part of the reason why I did that. And then a lot of the furniture has a lot of those same wood tones, so I tended to keep with that, but I did decide to start bringing in some dark woods as well that meshed well, or at least tried to mesh well. And trying to find little tiny tables to put in between these chairs was sort of annoying, because I want more little tiny tables. And technically you can size down tables, but because tables do have auto slots on them, the stuff was would auto snap into it, but it would be floating above it. So, yeah, I don't tend to size down my tables for that reason, because stuff auto snaps to it, and it's floating. And I know I technically could do the whole Control 9 thing and just move the table out of the way and then move it back in the way, but trying to figure out where it needs to sit in the first place without the table even being anywhere near there makes it a little bit difficult, so I decide not to do that. I want more shorter, tinier tables, though. Just because of the fact that for situations like that, I like doing stuff like that a lot, where you have like a little table close to your chairs. I personally am in a house that basically, except for like the more computer type chairs, so like your wheelchairs or whatever, they have some sort of table next to them. But technically, even the wheelie chairs, the desk chairs, they have tables somewhere near them, because they're normally attached to a desk. Like, mine is attached to my desk, and then my desk has a shelving unit beside it that came with it. And then I also have like a little wheelie table on the other side of me, so I have a lot of table space near my desk chair. But even like all of our recliners, our love seats, our couches, there is a table beside all of them. Because when you have a lot of guests over, like family, and they're sitting at these, they need somewhere to sit their drink and their food. So that's just, to me, that's like a habit I guess I just have because of how my family is. And even at other houses, there is a table right close to all the chairs. And half the time it's not the coffee table. It's like little smaller tables. And like The Sims like doesn't have many tables that look small enough to go with the chairs. So I want more smaller tables. But anyway, so there is that wall that I was talking about. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like I'm adding a few more things. That picture I was imagining was maybe like the founder or something of it. So all those things that are on that wall are meant to relate back to the bakery in some sort of way. So that was like their wall homage or whatever you call it. I'm not saying that right. But like putting a remembrance of the bakery basically the best they could with some of the stuff that was still preserved. Or, things like that. So, like, those teapots and some of the things that was there, I was imagining maybe those were the teapots from the bakery and they've cleaned them up or something. So, that was that whole that wall thing going on there. And I also decided to have a fireplace. I was imagining at one point in time this probably was one of the upstairs bakeries I mentioned in the last one. Where they did some of the backstock, or maybe this is where they technically baked their stuff for the royal customers that they had, and they baked it up here, and when a person was sent to get it, they would bring it down personally to them. So the fireplace is sort of where I'd imagine that maybe one of their stoves were at, and they've converted it to where it is now a fireplace in there instead of the actual oven, because obviously they don't really need to have multiple kitchens. Now, technically, there are some houses that have multiple kitchens, but normally when that happens, it's either like an apartment type situation, like you're renting out the top floor or the basement. So, like, upstairs, the house upstairs section has a kitchen, and then your basement section has a kitchen because you're renting it out to someone. That's usually the cases that I know that has multiple kitchens. So, obviously, I didn't want to do two kitchens, especially them right on top of each other, because the kitchen, for the actual kitchen is down below the living room. So, that was my way of still making it seem like at one point in time, this was like a kitchen section, as that fireplace took the place of the oven that was in this particular bakery slot. So, but I did tend to stick with a lot of blues also throughout the house in general, but other colors sort of randomly come in. Like this one has a lot of oranges in with it, and there's creams, and some of the darker woods coming through. And I was trying to find a different rug to put here, but I don't think I changed my mind. Like, none of the rugs end up catching my eye. I have a set of rugs that's CC rugs, that it's like made by the same creator, but there's one that's like a section of like 9 or 10 different rugs based off of red or blue. I really love those rugs, but obviously I do my builds without CC so that y'all are able to download them. And if you want to add your own CC, you can. But now we are on to one of the bedrooms. So this is about to be where the issue that I was talking about in the last one occurred. I did not catch it, and I really hate that I did not catch it, because usually my recording software, it makes a noise in my headphones, or it does something weird, it makes the screen flash when something is not right. But I figured out why it's been doing this, but I was noticing before and after this that randomly my recording software would just stop saying it was connected, even though it was. I have figured out why, but at this time I did not know why. And at some point, it stopped recording. But I thought it was, and there was no message on the screen, no flick, no nothing that indicated to me that it had stopped recording. So I went and finished this whole entire build. And I wasn't recording, and I hate it, and I hate when I have to do stuff like this. So, most way through this bedroom, because this is like one of the kids' bedrooms, like this one to me is the middle child, and there's a young child and an older child. But you're about to see, there's the house, and I'm going to go through and sort of briefly rotate through the room. There's also, again, these screenshots of all the rooms, and I made sure to get some multiple screenshots. Here's like the little kids room, like a toddler room, but it annoys me. This is like a little spare sitting hobby little room up here, and then beside it is going to be like the older kids. Oh, I did move this because I decided I didn't like the location of this, but it still annoys me that the recording messed up. Granted, I think it literally is only there's the bathroom. I don't think I go through and show the rest of the bathrooms that way. Or maybe I do. I don't know. But yeah, this was like the older kid's room probably. Or like maybe, you know, like a relative that came and stayed. I did like this whole back area there because I'd imagine they had a garden that they got their ingredients naturally. So it just really, really was frustrating me after I realized, and I did not realize until I went to go edit the video. That was when I finally realized, because I didn't even pay attention to the length of it, because when I went out, it was acting like it was still recording. Like, the red light for me to say it's recording was technically still on. But the recording itself, I didn't pay attention, said that it did not have a device found, yet it was still supposedly recording. That frustrated me so much. And I do apologize that happened, but there is a lot of screenshots. I took a lot of screenshots, especially of those rooms that I did not get recorded. Thankfully, it was only like 3 or 4 rooms that was not captured. And then obviously I did cut out the bathrooms, but there is screenshots of the bathrooms as well. And I think each bathroom, even though they're tiny, has 2 to 3 screenshots of them. So you'll definitely be able to see a lot of the detail and a lot of the stuff that I did in the individual rooms. Like I said in the last one, I love this build. I was super happy with this build. It did take me a while, but I was super happy with it. I think it's partially because I did put so much thought into it, trying to make sure that I kept sort of with the old and the new merging together to where, like, you can easily see a family nowadays living in a place like this, but you can also see a lot of the older charm coming through the build itself. I really love it in Windenburg, but again, if you want to download it, you do not have to put it in Windenburg if you don't want to, but I thought Windenburg was the best choice for it. Obviously, I did call it the Old Windenburg Bakery, so obviously I decided to put it in Windenburg. But yeah, I loved this build, and I hope you really enjoy it as well. I hope you liked it as well. Obviously, really annoyed about the recording messing up, but you'll get to see the screenshots. Let me know which is your favorite room, what is some of your favorite sections of the different rooms and stuff like that. Would you use this in your game? Like, just let me know all this stuff in your comments. Do you think I did a very good job of mixing the old and the new? Can you tell that some of the stuff maybe was thought of as a refurbished type deal? And things like, they reuse stuff, and even if it was reused and painted, can you, sort of have that old meets new charm? Can you tell that I did it, or can you not? If you can tell, then I succeeded in what I wanted to do. If you cannot, well, poop. to be, because that was my goal. Obviously, when it comes to the bedrooms, I did basically completely throw out the old part, because, again, you'll hear me say this probably in every speed build that I do that is a residential, and I think I even mentioned it into some of the commercial lots. The bedrooms are where a person's personality should shine. So I tend to forget what the rest of the building on the outside and the inside looks when I do bedrooms. I just think of a personality and maybe a style or whatever that sim, whoever was living in this room, wanted and decided to do. So yeah, the bedrooms are the exception. They are not the new meets the old for the most part. But the rest of the build, I tried to do my best of bringing in new, but also somewhat showing that, they probably reused some old things here and there to keep some of the old parts of Windenburg Bakery alive in the build. But anyway, so as I've probably restated that several times at this point, but the video is soon going to be ending here. If you want to download this build, it is going to be on the gallery. You can find it either looking for me, Artistic Gamer 7, which is my origin ID. If you want to go download this build or any other builds, it is called the Old Windenburg Bakery as well, if you want to try to find it that way. It is definitely, feel free to download it. If you end up redoing any of my builds, always let me know. And do hashtag Artistic Gamer 7 so I can go back and maybe look at them. Maybe I'll try to do some episodes based on those in the future. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit that lovely like button and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.